All right, so getting your kids into gaming. So I'm going to give you 5 different steps and ways we can help our kids getting into gaming, all the way from where we start, and finally at the end I will discuss where I and where you can go to find different games that are, one, simply good and not wasting your time, and two, that are a good for younger children. So let's get into it. So the first one is, where do we start? Easy, newer games is where I suggest. So I have a whole video out on the top 5 easy video games for young kids. Go check out that video. Things easy games have is easy mode. So in Mario Odyssey, I discussed, or in my video before, I showed how you can put on the assist mode. So when your child is learning the game, they're not going to get too upset by falling off the cliff or dying. The game kind of helps them out. In Yoshi's Crafted World, the same thing happens. They give Yoshi a set of wings, and so he can hover and fly forever. It takes the platforming, the difficulty down. It really lowers it to make it much easier for your child to learn the game and just have to get through the puzzles and not just through the platforming parts. So again, one was, where do we start? And that's the easy, newer games. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of newer games that we can find as parents, uncles, aunts, whatever, are influencers on these young children. There's a whole bunch of different locations we can go. All right, number 2 on how to get our kids into gaming. Get them whatever the kids are talking about at school, right? Years ago, they had Fortnite. Fortnite was the big thing for those younger kids. They loved Fortnite. However, my son is 4 years old. I'm not going to give him Fortnite to go play with people online. I don't know who he's playing with, and it's not really a violent game. It has guns and whatnot, but a lot of mechanics to that game. So Fortnite wasn't for my kid. However, his friends were talking about Mario Odyssey. Everyone loved Mario and Mario Maker, and so I got a Mario Maker, and the kid makes his own levels now, and he loves Mario Maker. So obviously, you're the parent, you're going to decide what video games you need to get your children, but look into the popular games. This is going to do a few different things. One thing, he's going to be playing with his friends, and his friends will come over, or they can play online, however it's set up, and they can play together. Now, this is going to get you more back for your money. For instance, if you get your kids something they don't really like, just because it had a character that you recognize on the shelf, and these companies advertise to parents in that way, like, oh, I know this character, I saw him in this TV show, I'm sure this is going to be a good game, it'll be just like that TV show or just like that movie. Chances are, if it's a licensed product or a licensed character, it's trash. So we'll get into that later. But so if we get those games that we already know our kids are talking about and they want, and their friends are talking about, they're going to give it a bigger chance to actually play. Like, for instance, if they get stuck in Mario Maker, but their friends like, oh no, we can do this and that, their friends can help them, and then they can use teamwork and communicate. And in a sense, in their children's way, they're networking, and in a sense, they're learning teamworking and listening and developing skills. And a lot of people don't think about that stuff in video games, but there's a lot of those skills there. So also, I like to, if I spend money on something, I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of that something. And so if we buy, say, a new video game system, and our kid just gets stuck in all these different video games that we're buying them, then we're wasting all this money. So again, if they're playing a game that their friends are talking about and they want, they're going to push onward and keep playing that game. Quick story. For myself, I've just purchased Zelda's Majora's Mask, right? And the game came out in 2000, so it's not a new game. I am now, me and 2 of my buddies are playing it all together. We're all different parts of the world, and we're all kind of slowly getting through it. And it's pushing me harder to play it because, 1, I spent the money, right? I want to get through it, and 2, since they're playing it, it's nice to talk and discuss with them. So it's kind of like having a gym buddy, going to the gym, keeping you accountable to keep going. You spent that money on that gym, I spent that money on that video game. Let's get all out of it, get everything out of it that we can. Yeah, so if our kids are playing what their friends are playing, they're going to be more inclined to keep playing that game, and we didn't just waste our money. All right, so number 3, how about we just have them play our classic games, right? We remember how much fun we had back in the day playing the original Mario Brothers, or say Donkey Kong 64 and just the Donkey Kongs in general, or those old Zeldas on NES. But we also don't remember the hard parts, because those games are hard. They made those games harder to extend the time of us playing. So if our parents were to buy us a game and beat it, and we beat it in 6 or 7 hours, our parents could be upset. They just wasted $60, and $60 back in the 90s was a lot more than it is now. So they extended the difficulty, or they increased the difficulty to make the time longer to play. So we got to think about that now. Are our kids going to want to play those harder games that we had no choice to play back in our day? So if your kid wants to get into that, or there's certain games that they would like, another story, my son really likes playing Rush 2. He likes going with me, playing multiplayer on my N64, going and playing in the stunt mode. It's just an arena with a bunch of ramps, and he thinks it's so much fun to race each other and run into each other and flip around and just like kind of play chase. And that doesn't have anything to do with difficulty, but it is pretty neat to play a game with my son that I played with my brother when I was much younger. But he doesn't really like playing Mario 64 because it's fairly difficult, and he doesn't like playing Donkey Kong because he can't get past the first level, and he doesn't have that easy mode to lean back on. However, he loves playing Mario Odyssey, and really lately has been enjoying Yoshi's Crafted World. So number 3 was your classic games, but don't force it too hard on them. Let them come back to the classics as they get older. All right, next is number 4. Get them a smaller controller. So I've got my son a Power A controller, the Micro, and he's 4 years old, so obviously he's got 4-year-old size hands. So this controller fits him really well. However, he can use a full-size Pro controller, but not as well, right? He can do it when his battery dies in his controller and he wants to keep playing, and we allow him to keep playing. I let him use my Nintendo Switch Pro controller, but it's just a little too big. And also something I did years ago, on his 3rd birthday, he had obviously even smaller hands, and he didn't really understand what each button did. So I bought him the NES controller for the Switch, which is much smaller. I'll put it up here on the screen. It's a much smaller controller, and it has less buttons. So with the less buttons, it made it easier for him not to hit the start button and then get lost in the menus, and you know how they always change the language, and now you're trying to figure out how to change it back from Japanese back into English, and it's a whole hassle. So when he was learning those buttons, I purchased him the NES controllers from Nintendo themselves for him to use, and it worked. And then I like I said, I worked up to him having that Power A controller, the smaller, the Micro Power A controller, and that one's been working great. And it's really helped him accelerate in getting more into gaming. If your child has some sort of disability, Xbox has a very good brand and a very good controller to help with different disabilities. Look in the Microsoft and their, I forgot what they call it. I'll put it on screen again, but Microsoft has a bunch of controllers to help people with the different disabilities so everybody can play. Microsoft is awesome about inclusion, and I'll stand behind Microsoft until they do something stupid, but definitely check out Microsoft and their controllers. All right, here's a bonus one. I said I'd give you 5, but here's a bonus one. Get them into the new and upcoming games. So right now, as I'm recording this, Mario Wonder is coming out later this month, and he's really excited about it. Every time every time a Nintendo Direct comes, I watch it, make sure, see what's coming, and then I'll put it on, like, hey, check out this new game coming out, and I'll get him I'll get myself excited and get him excited to watch the new Mario Wonder, and also the new Peach game's coming out. I forget the name of the Peach game, but all the time he goes, Dad, when's the new Mario game coming out? And I'll tell him it's coming out in a few weeks. He has that hype that I would have back in the day from reading Nintendo Power and seeing what's coming out. Times are obviously different in how we get our advertisement now. Todd, my son, he sees the videos on YouTube and he gets all excited about Mario Wonder. And so now him and I are both sharing this excitement of this new video game coming out. Now, if I buy it for him day one is up in the air. I might, wait for his birthday in December, or even wait until Christmas to give him something for Christmas. But nonetheless, he's really excited about the new upcoming game releasing, and it's really neat for me to share that with him. And the excitement he has, I can share it, and we can both be happy when we do eventually pick the game up. Now, lastly, where do we know if a game is good or not? So if I'm perusing GameStop or the interwebs or wherever, Walmart, wherever you're buying your games, how do you know what game is good? So there's a countless number of channels on YouTube that talk about games that are bad, right? So the biggest one is the Angry Video Game Nerd. Because of the Angry Video Game Nerd, it brought back a lot of memories and nostalgia of walking through the stores and seeing how cool this box art was, and oh, this gotta be good. Or I see in a game that was a part of a movie that I really enjoyed, and then I take it home and that game is absolutely garbage. But I didn't know better because I didn't have anything. I couldn't pull my phone up and look and see what makes this game good, and is this a good game? So if you get online, you can go to Metacritic.com, and it'll go over movies, TV shows, but it goes over video games. And on Metacritic is kind of it's not the end all be all, but it's a very good tool to use to know if a game is any good. There's nothing worse than buying a game and it just being bad, and then your kid doesn't want to play it, and then now you're stuck with this garbage game that you're just wasting your money. Don't waste your money. Look at Metacritic, see if the game's good, ask around, watch videos on that game. You can just YouTube any game coming out or any game that's out. Somebody's done a Let's Play on it, and you can see, one, if my kid might like this, because it might be, like back in the day, I remember I rented Mario RPG. Man, I must have been 5, and I was so excited to play the new Mario game. However, it's basically a text-based game. It's an RPG, which that game is re-releasing. But I couldn't read. So if I can't read, I can't play the game. Now, I might have liked it back in high school or something, but I was on playing different games at that point. However, the point is, my parents didn't know. I just saw it at Blockbuster, picked it up, rented it, came home, and I couldn't play it. So that was a very disappointing time. So don't do that to your kids. Go online, do your research, go on YouTube, see if the game looks like something your kid would want to play. Make sure it's something you'd want your kid to play, meaning, is it violent? Is it have things in nature that you're not aware of, but now you should be aware of? And also, most importantly, is the game even good? If the game's not good, it's a huge waste of time. It sucks. So let's go over our 5 different things. So where to start? Like I said, I'd get the newer games and make sure they're nice and easy. Next, number 2 was what are the cool kids talking about at school? What are the cool kids playing? That way your kid will feel cool. Third would be the classic games, your classic games. See if they want to get into that. And finally, get your kid a smaller controller for number 4, something that they can actually hold and use. And then lastly, where to know if the game's good or bad. Obviously, on Metacritic, that's where it will tell us yay or nay on buying a game. So thank you for being here. If you got all this way in the video, I very much appreciate it. Please do me the favor, like, subscribe, as every YouTuber asks you. And if you lasted this long, thank you very much. I'll see y'all later.